On this episode of Screen Geeks, we're going to talk about the Snyder Cut finally getting released. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Screen Geeks. My name is Jay, and with me, as always, usually Thursday nights, but another Friday night Screen Geeks. Is Ralph Oppa. How you doing, good sir?
Doing good. Second show in the row. This is episode 30.
We've made it 30 episodes. Who'd have guessed it? Who'd have guessed it? And they said this wouldn't last. Excited to be here tonight to talk about Snyder Cut. I know Geek Dad Life generally talks about, nonsensical things you could purchase to try and relive your childhood a little bit, but this one is unique in that it is a retread of something that wasn't that long ago. It's only 2017. Right. And it's another pass at what ended up being a pretty lackluster movie back in 2017. And that is the DCEU Justice League. And,
right.
Excited to talk about it here. There's already people in the chat. Jay Griffiths is here. Brad Brooks, is this episode gonna be 4 hours too? No, it is not. It is not. We'll keep it a tight hour here tonight. Wyatt Webb, no, I don't know. Why, you're right. It's not gonna be. Bullwinkle is here. Good to see you, Bullwinkle 80. And is it better than Avengers Endgame? No, it's not better than Avengers Endgame. I don't think. To me,
I think Infinity War is better than Endgame.
But I think just Endgame, I don't know, it's just such a satisfying conclusion to 20-something movies. That's where I do agree. I think Infinity War is probably the more compelling movie. But to me, that final act of Endgame is almost like pitch perfect. Even though the time travel stuff's a little hokey, but like that, the final battle to me was awesome. You didn't like the final battle?
I'm tired of the CG skies, and
sure, that's fine.
And this movie too, WandaVision. I am sick and tired of CG skies.
It's hey, listen,
go shoot plates and shoot plates, and shoot empty things, and have the camera shake around, and then drop your guys into a real sky. I'm tired of the CG skies.
You tell him, Ralph. But so excited to be here tonight. If you haven't done it already, make sure to hit that like button. And remember, your comment could be read on air. And if you're watching this, you're probably subscribed already. But if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. Screen Geeks is, I do 2 live shows on Geek Dad Life each week. One is dedicated to toy geekery. That's on Sundays. And then Screen Geeks is essentially like everything else geeky. It turns out just TV, film, and games. Really,
sometimes video games. Yeah,
sometimes video games. Yeah, but
there's that new Ninja Turtle game coming out.
I know that game looks freaking amazing.
Right,
that thing looks amazing. But I did want to start with a little bit of toy stuff, Ralph. I hope you're okay with that.
All right.
But we both enjoy hot toys. We both appreciate hot toys. So I did want to this week a special set for Hot Toys, Nightmare, Batman, and Superman.
Ooh, 2-pack. I've not seen these.
And
2-pack.
Yeah, you get both. You get
so it's like 600. It's got to be like 600, right?
It's only, hold on, let's see, only $515. So about $260 each.
I like that Batman look, by the way.
Oh yeah, so do I. It's really cool. So I think the Batman looks cool, and honestly, I kind of liked the Whedon version of the suit, the Superman suit, the blue and the kind of classic colors. But I really dug the black suit Superman in this movie.
Yeah, I think it looks cool. I kind of had wished I'm jumping ahead here. When Batman is when Superman pulls Batman out of the reactor tower thing, I kind of wanted Batman to comment on the black suit.
Okay.
But
Like some little quippy comment or something.
something about how, hey, wait, hold on. Here.
Dark suits are my
That's
thing.
my thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Those are awesome, by the way. I own 0 hot toys.
mhm,
I used to own 1 hot toy and then sold it for a profit. And
mhm.
that was the Dutch hot toy from Predator,
Yep.
the Arnold.
Mhm.
That thing was amazing. Now I don't really have anything. I have like 3 12-inch figures.
If
I have
they ever did like a Hal Jordan, like a Ryan Reynolds
yeah,
Hal Jordan, or if they bring him back, maybe you would get one probably.
probably. And
So,
I'm not the biggest fan of his mask. I
mhm.
thought his suit was fine, but we'll get into Green Lantern suits later.
I know a lot of Green Lantern love in this movie, or at least sprinklings of Green Lantern.
Yeah, but there's a huge Green Lantern omission in the movie. I don't know if you read about this.
Well, yes. So, all right, we're gonna kind of go over, but anyways,
That Batman's awesome, by the way. I like that look a lot.
this is really cool. I've been trying to save up for the Thunder Tank. So I don't know if I'll be able to pull both off. I mean, the one good, and look, it has the extra Joker card there. I think that's pretty dope. The truce card that Joker
Right.
gave. But overall, it looks really awesome. Is it a set that's available now? So it's pre-order. Oh, see, it's not coming out for like another year and a half. Plenty of time to worry about that $500. Easy pre-order. Sorry, Colleen. But anywho, all right. So first, let's just get the cat in the bag. I put my thoughts essentially
I
in
know, I saw that.
the thumbnail.
Like you didn't even tease it. You weren't even like trying to entice people to come watch the show. Oh, Jay likes it. It's good to go.
Well,
I don't need to watch
here's the thing. Like I felt, because sometimes I've done the very clickbaity thumbnails and people
Right.
get all bent out of shape. But people like we already got like dislikes before we even started the episode. So if you could add some more likes here, I think somebody did not like my first take. I think it might have been Fetz, because Fetz left a comment like before. But I will say, we watched it last night. Once the kids went to sleep, so I don't think we started till 8:30. I don't think the movie ended until well after midnight, maybe 12:40 or something like that. And so it was super long.
It's long.
And there was moments where I was like, I guess we could stop it and then we'll just finish it maybe during my lunch break tomorrow or something. But we just kind of pressed on. So I if there's anything that said how much I did enjoy the film, was that it was a super long movie, but like I wanted to stay up and watch the whole thing. At no point I was like, oh God, I just need to go to sleep. I can't keep watching this.
Right.
And I really dug it. I really liked how it was too long, but I think the fact that it was on this medium like HBO Max that would allow it to basically do whatever you want. You can have any format you want because the theaters aren't dictating anything. And that extra time allowed so much more character development. And one of the flaws that I think arguments we've all had against DC, the DC universe movies versus the MCU is like, gosh, wouldn't have been great if they would have taken the time like Marvel and done multiple movies to build up to this. But like the 4 hours almost gave enough time for these characters to develop and breathe. And to me, the stuff felt so much more impactful. The Steppenwolf Darkseid stuff felt so much more impactful. Flash storyline seemed more impactful. Aquaman, I think, had a great solo movie, so that didn't bother me as much. But even that story got fleshed out more in this one. I mean, everything was fleshed out more. But the one great thing here is Cyborg. I know there's a lot of controversy, or there was like a lot of back and forth between is it Ray Fisher, the actor who plays, and WB, and I just don't see any reason why WB would have essentially cut him out of the first movie other than to spite him, because it was an amazing story. He was the heart of the story, and it was a really, I thought, compelling kind of through line through this whole thing.
It's interesting because he's been very vocal about his treatment by Joss Whedon when Joss Whedon came in to do the reshoots. And so that's been really contentious. I don't think it's an accident that the title card not Joss Whedon, Zack Snyder's Justice League was played over a shot of Cyborg.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you noticed that, but I don't think that's an accident. I
Yeah.
think that's Zack Snyder's way of saying that they embrace Ray Fisher. This
Yeah.
is his story.
Yeah.
And I love that aspect to it. It's way too long,
Mm-hmm.
but you got to figure Zack Snyder has wanted this movie to come out forever.
Mm-hmm.
Since Batman v Superman, he was talking about this movie.
Yeah.
And he finally has the opportunity to do it. He doesn't want to leave anything on the cutting room floor. He wants it to be this grand thing. And so, you can trim things out like the lady singing by the ocean at the beginning.
Yeah.
There's like real small things that
Yeah.
can be like, that could be easily plucked.
Yeah.
You can easily pluck out at least a half hour of stuff in this movie, have it have the same impact and be the length of like Return of the King.
Yep.
But Snyder's like, this is his shot. This is his only shot.
Yeah.
We shot this stuff.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's put it out there. And what I think is smart of him to do is set this up in 8 chapters, but I'm calling it 7 chapters. Mostly because what happens in comic books is they'll come out with 7 issues, then collect them all in a trade paperback. So this feels like you have the prologue, the epilogue, and then 6 chapters in between those. So I think of it as essentially 7.
Yeah.
Because the prologue's pretty short. The epilogue's kind of short. But anyway.
Yeah.
It's nice that he set it up so it's like, okay, here's your potty break moment. Or if you want to split this up over the course of a week, you know where to pause. I like that he did that. And it worked. It worked. I watched it all in one chunk too. I mean, obviously potty breaks.
Sure. Yeah.
And kind of seeing the Joss Whedon version, the trimmed down version, you can kind of tell, okay, this is a good place to take a potty break because it still had some similar beats to it.
Yeah.
But
it's amazing how much it kind of did. The story was essentially the same relatively, but it was just so, it was so the same. It was the same, but it was so different at the same time, which is kind of
right. It made me
visions really kind of came to be.
Like, it kind of made me sad because I knew that the action pieces were going to be pretty much the same, even though there were some things that changed in the action scenes. But my big worry was the climax of the movie. I'm like, we know it ends at this nuclear power plant. And I'm like, we know that Cyborg and Superman pulled the thing apart. And I'm like, oh man, is this just leading up to something we've already seen? But there's so much more to it.
Yes.
Especially with the Flash.
Yes.
That Flash sequence that was like 2001 was awesome.
Yep. Loved it. And then to me, it's like you compare that scene, which was great, and I'm blanking on the Flash Force or the time, whatever,
the Speed Force.
Speed Force. Thank you. So they had that. But instead, they chose to go with this really weird B storyline where he saves this family, and it's kind of really hokey and some really easy dialogue. And to me, it's like there's so many of these things that were part of the Whedon one, where they weren't even close to being as good as these other set pieces. And somebody somewhere in Warner Bros. Or somewhere is like, we want to go with this. When you had that amazing sequence with the Flash, which was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, and it totally changed the makeup of the movie.
Yeah.
We watched Man of Steel and Batman v Superman Ultimate Cut over the course of the past week.
Yeah.
The Lois storyline is so heartbreaking.
It is.
It's so heartbreaking. I was super sad every time she came on screen when she was visiting the memorial every day. Like, all that stuff was super heartbreaking. And why would you take that out when you've built up this whole storyline? Even if you come in, your third movie hinges on those previous 2 movies, which centered around Clark and Lois.
Yeah.
I remember the scene between Lois and Martha in this movie made me
Mm-hmm.
super glassy eyed.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remembered the Joss Whedon scene took place at the Daily Planet in
Mm-hmm.
the break room. Amy
Yeah.
Adams had her awful fake hair.
Yep.
And I was just like, oh my God, like, why? Why
Yeah.
would anybody tear this apart? Again, I understand trimming,
Sure.
but like these are super powerful scenes. And it, like, I know
And
it wasn't really Martha,
and
but it's somebody.
each one was less. Each one was lesser than. Like I'm trying to think
Yeah,
now of like all those Whedon cuts or the reshoots, and every single one was less than the other. And like Riley Bob thinks as well, the choices made for the Joss cut baffle my mind that someone said, yeah, that's better. Like somebody said, yeah, that's better. There was a really subtle one that I read about. Like I noticed it. I was like, this scene worked better. And then I went back and did like there's all those videos of like showing the scenes at the same time. And the just them in the Bat Cave, the actual cinematography and everything kind of moving and everything, it was just a far more compelling scene. And then I watched the original cuts again, like side by side, and the cuts are awful, like just kind of like just cheap kind of cuts. It kind of seems like they're probably not all in the same room because these are the reshoots. The background is all CGI, it doesn't even have like the right amount of depth of space to it.
right.
And again, it's just like it just kind of blew my mind that and to your point about the Amy, like just every scene they kind of redid or put in, it's just like it made it less impactful than the ones that they already had in the can. It just didn't make sense.
Right. They were just going through the motions to do anything to get it shortened. And they were just chopping stuff up to make it fit a 2 hour.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't blame Joss Whedon for what he did. He had a job, he did it.
Sure. Yeah.
But I mean, they could have easily taken this movie, maybe even brought it down to a 3 hour. It might have been a little bit too much of a quicker pace, but
Sure.
I don't know why they wouldn't try that theatrically. I mean, WB, or I guess not WB, but like New Line, when they released the Lord of the Rings, they knew, okay, we're going to release a 3 hour version of this movie, and you know you're going to get a 3.5 hour version on DVD later.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why Warner's isn't in the same boat, because
Yeah.
they did The Hobbit and they did the same thing where they
Yeah.
had like the theatrical version was 3 hours long. They took what was supposed to be 2 movies and
Mm-hmm.
turned it into 3 movies
Yeah.
that were 3 hours each.
Yeah.
Like, why mess with this one movie?
It's so weird. It's so like, Scott T says it feels like JL quite a bit. It was a cheesy scene, but I miss Aquaman bearing his soul sitting less of truth. That was a fun scene from the other one.
Right. But that's another issue is in that scene, Aquaman is just telling Wonder Woman how hot she is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at like the allegations of Joss Whedon. There's a scene that takes place under Stryker's Island where the Nightcrawler comes out and stuff,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
where the Flash saves Wonder Woman
Mm.
and is laying on top of her and then pops up real quick. That's a Joss thing. So it seems like everything he did was like almost anti-woman.
Yeah,
like there's less Amazons.
Mm-hmm.
The scene with Martha and Lois was awful.
Yep.
And you have Wonder Woman being saved by the Flash. Like, it makes me mad. It really makes me mad.
It is weird. It's one of those things where you have the context of what's come out about Joss since then,
right?
And all of those things that were in the media before, kind of are you just watch it through you see it through a different lens, and
right.
It feel gross.
Right. The scene, I don't remember this being in the original cut or the theatrical cut, was the scene in Kansas where Lois, Martha, and Clark are hugging. I don't remember that. I'm assuming it's in there, but it just felt, something about it just felt better. Like there's something about taking the time.
To your point, they took the time to have all that Lois stuff in there.
Right. Right. Which was really good. Even the moment where Superman's playing with the butterfly could be cut easily.
Yeah.
But I like that moment.
Yeah. No, I agree.
It's a really strange situation because everybody seems to enjoy this movie. I'm sure there's people out there that don't. I noticed Jay mentioned something earlier, but comparing it to Marvel, it's apples and oranges. There's no reason. There's no reason to knock something down or build something up, by comparing. I think as this movie stands on its own, I think it's really good. And the buzz around it was through the roof. I mean, of course, I follow certain people on Twitter that have similar likes and dislikes as I do. So I'm going to see it a lot more. Yeah. But I can't imagine this movie not pulling in all kinds of subscriptions to HBO Max. And it's not being shown in theaters. It's only HBO Max.
Yeah.
So people, I'd like to see the subscription numbers, because if it goes up through the roof, I'd like to see him continue. Let him keep going with this storyline.
I will say the fact that it exists, it does make you question. Like it was a really weird place for Warner Brothers to say, like, you know what, we don't like where this is going. You already filmed this entire movie, so we're gonna bring in Whedon to save it for some reason. Which he didn't really change the story at all. He arguably just made it worse. And and so there you have it. And the thing about this movie, which it was really great, I enjoyed a lot. And again, there's the slow-mo scenes, there's all the things you can pick on just Zack Snyder for. I'm not a Zack Snyder fan in any particular order. I think I really enjoy the DC mythology. I'm a big DC fan. And there's absolutely things that I like, but overall I'm not a big Snyder fan. But this, again, maybe just because he had the time to kind of tell these stories, but I just thought it was a far more compelling story, and it just didn't seem kind of half-baked the way Justice League did. And right. But yeah, I think that's the big takeaway here. And then after seeing all of these scenes and seeing all of these setups for clearly more movies, it's kind of a bit of just sadness that, like, okay, we're probably not going to get all this stuff. But now, is there a world where, we're going to get this kind of future world where Lois dies and there's these different timelines and, the kind of the nightmare sequences. Everybody had these different nightmare sequences, and maybe different things will come to light or whatever. But it's and you see Darkseid for the first time. I think it was awesome on screen.
Right. I mean, why not? We already have like 2 Jokers, 2 Batmans. Like that's the thing about comic books that's so great, is that you can have different writers writing the same characters on different books. All these characters show up in Justice League, but they also have their own titles by different artists, different writers are doing different storylines. So why not open this up the way comics work? This is like a perfect comic book movie where it's set up in chapters, and it's a different take on the same characters. There's been over the years hundreds and hundreds of writers that write different versions of Batman, and there's artists that make him look different. There's some that do the yellow oval. There's some that just do a big bat. There's some that do black suits, blue and gray suits. It's all different, and they're all great. Open this up to the movies. Let Zack Snyder do another one. Let him go do that. Let Matt Reeves work on the Batman. It's a totally different take. But I mean, there's a different flavor for everybody. So why not open it up? And I'm hoping this Flashpoint movie can say, hey, listen, for all of you that like Joss Whedon's version of the theatrical cut of Justice League, that still exists. Whereas this movie also still exists. I'm hoping they open up the I'm not going to say the multiverse, the infinite Earths, and let everybody roam free. Let everybody, if you want to make 3 Batman movies, make 3 Batman movies. That's also what's great about DC Warner Animation, is they're always making Batman movies. They just did one where Batman is in the 70s and he knows like karate or kung fu or something, and it's like, and then they also have Batman gas lamp, where it takes place in like a Victorian era Batman. Like, do it. Superman Red Sun, do it.
I think with HBO Max they can, because I know theaters generally they want a certain timestamp because then it's how many like movies they can kind of stack in a day in a theater or something like that.
Right.
And so I don't know if you ever have a 4-hour movie like this in theaters. But with HBO Max, it doesn't matter because there's no limitation of what movie theaters require. And yeah, I think you can just let it live on HBO Max, or you just have so many more options for creators, and let Snyder have a Snyderverse on HBO Max or something like. And if it gets you a bunch of subscribers, then
or instead of saying chop out 2 hours of your movie, say, hey, listen, you're going to get a theatrical cut. That one has to be 2 hours.
Yeah,
we're going to give you the director's vision on HBO Max.
Yeah,
give the option. That gives people more options and more versions to buy. Because I went and watched the theatrical version of Lord of the Rings, and I bought the extended version on DVD when those came out. And so it's like, give us more product.
Yeah,
let us determine what we want. Obviously, that's how this movie came to be. Is the fans were determined to get it shown, and it finally has. I'm not saying they have to bend to the will of the people, but at the same time, that's your client, that's your customer. Like, make them happy.
Absolutely.
So if this made HBO Max blank amount of money, that means people want to see it.
Yeah, 100%.
Give us more. And even though this is dark and dour and whatever, there's a report that J.J. Abrams is working on his own Superman. Let him do it.
Yeah.
If it's a black Superman, awesome. I will watch that movie. People want it to be Michael B. Jordan, the Superman. I'd watch that movie so fast.
Absolutely.
But I still love Henry Cavill.
Same.
So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
You can have both. There's no reason you can't have both. Right. There's no reason you can't. I agree. I 100% agree.
There's one thing.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. No, go with the question.
Riley Bob, bold question here. If Snyder Cut is a success, which I say yes, why wouldn't WB continue with part 2? Even though they have said no, would this all give it a chance? And I think Jay Griffith's response to that, well, at one point they also said no to the Snyder Cut, so there's a chance. And Bob replies, as a man from the aquatic lands once said, my man.
Well, what's interesting too is the Night Bear sequence at the end of the movie apparently wasn't in the original version. It wasn't shot. They shot that for this.
Yes. Yep.
So they're willing to give him money.
Yeah.
And I have an idea that this was a test. Like, you want to shoot this scene, here's X amount of money. Go do it. And then maybe if it came in under budget, maybe it didn't cost that much. Maybe they start moving on with more. Get these guys the freaking volume from Mandalorian. Just make more. The technology's there to keep making these movies. Hey, I'll look at all the CG skies as long as you keep making more.
I will say that the finale without the weird red sky thing was much better. Like just
huge improvement.
Yeah. Which is
huge improvement.
It was really weird because red is so exhausting after a certain point to like watch on a screen. That was just really
right. Weird. We talk about green.
Well, let's wait. Give me 1 second for your.
Okay.
Just 1 second. Jeremy is art. Joss took big elements out of the story that made it less coherent. So glad that Snyder got to do his vision. Yeah, I agree. I think, and we said it before. It's just all of these. Again, it just. I think that was just the weirdest thing. Like walking away from it because it was like every change made this movie worse. And again, I don't know how any. And again, I'm well used to hearing about like movie executives having no clue or no idea creatively what is actually compelling or good. Like you hear stories all the time about, or even like Steven Spielberg, they'll send him notes on how to change things. I think somebody told them to change the title of Back to the Future to some really weird title that didn't make any sense.
Oh yeah, what was that title? It was awful.
It was like Marty and the Spaceman from Mars or something like that. Something really stupid. And Spielberg's like, oh yeah, sure, that sounds great, and just ignored it. And then once it came like, oh, I'm sorry, I must have lost that note. So it's been time and time again proven that movie executives have no idea what they're talking about.
Right.
and there's a certain level of you need to trust your creatives that you've hired to be creative.
And clearly they were done with him before the movie was even done. They didn't even see it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Jeremy's like, how dare you guys have a logical and peaceful discussion about JL?
Hey, listen, I am a DC guy. I have been since I was a kid. And I just enjoy seeing these characters. I've said it countless times.
Yeah.
This was a chance to, at least, if anything, to see more of the characters and these actors that I love.
Yeah.
I think Wonder Woman was great. I really did not care for Wonder Woman 84. This felt so much better. I think her portrayal in this felt so much better. I know.
I will say I kind of liked 84. Like, does it have problems? Yeah. Absolutely. Is it perfect? Not even close.
Yeah.
But at least,
but just from an acting standpoint, like, I thought Gal Gadot was better in this than Wonder Woman 84. I thought she was great in this. I know Twitter kind of got upset because she was killing people, but I mean, they were holding machine guns on kids, guys.
Yeah.
You know. And then today I watched Falcon. I watched Falcon and Winter Soldier, and
I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it.
Do a body count in the first 10 minutes for me, please.
Okay.
And let me know how many people die, because Wonder Woman killed like 3 people, smashed them into walls, and they're not a big body count in this movie either. And
no,
they're very sure,
demons, really.
Yeah, they were very sure to make sure that everybody knew that the fake Russian city was Chernobyl-esque and no one was there.
Exactly.
But like the body count in the first 10 minutes of Winter Soldier, Falcon and Winter Soldier is like more, I think, than Justice League.
You know, I mean, I'm not one for gratuitous violence, but it's an action movie. It's a comic book movie.
Right. I just don't understand. How Twitter picks its fights. It baffles me.
I agree. And, you know, I know he's not here, but Caesar, good friend of ours, a fellow toy geek, he is a staunch MCU fan, overly so. And he literally today texted me all of his grievances with this movie, like literally just line after line after line about all the things he hated about the Justice League movie. To which I was like, yes, there's absolutely things you can pick on with this movie, but you can do the same with the MCU. And I'm of the mind, and especially WandaVision, which he loved, like thought it was the greatest thing in the world. I liked WandaVision. There was things I really liked in WandaVision, but we both famously did not enjoy how long it took to get into the meat of everything. Plus the last episode was very like, how many times do we need a fight in a CG sky kind of thing? It's not very compelling, but to me, it's just like, you're right. There's these weird Twitter fights where it's like, you're just gonna like pick a fight. And it's like, it's a comic book movie, first of all. So there's a certain level of suspension of disbelief. But I was like, I don't see how you can see this movie and have that same level of like, this is terrible, blah, 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 blah. When every comic book movie is silly to a certain level, just on its like premise alone. And again, I just thought the stories were all compelling. Like, I thought every storyline was more compelling in this. Alfred was great in this, and so Gordon, like so many characters that. Go ahead.
What's great is what my biggest fear was going into this version of the movie was, like, I assumed Joss Whedon came in to lighten the mood.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of humor in this movie, and it all works.
Yeah,
I think the humor feels more natural in this than the Joss Whedon version.
Yeah,
I don't know if anyone agrees with me, but I feel like a lot of the jokes landed, and what baffled me was the scene where Bruce tracks down Barry Allen's house, and he's sitting in the house.
Yeah.
Joss Whedon went and shot extra stuff just to add a brunch joke in there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why did you take the time to recreate
the
haircut and stuff? Because you can tell if you watch the Joss Whedon version, you can tell when it's his, when his hair looks bad.
Yeah.
Why take the time to do that?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
And
that's not a good joke.
Well, that and then all the reshoots. And again, to me, it's just like, oh yeah, the cinematography was better in this, right? Like as I'm watching it. But then I go back and I do like they do all the side by side scene comparisons. And you're right, all the Joss reshoots are worse.
Yeah,
There's
they're
not
unnecessary.
one that's better.
No,
And
it's just shorter.
Yeah,
that's all his job was, I guess.
I guess. Like I don't know how much.
But I mean, ultimately, blame the studio.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure he just gave them what they wanted, but it sounded like when he came in, he was like a terror on the set. There's an article that I posted over on my Twitter. I think I posted on Monday that we're doing this show tonight. There's a Vanity Fair article all about this whole situation. I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
It lets you know kind of where Zack Snyder fit into all this. The studio sending over 2 people to come look over his shoulder every minute and question everything he was doing. It's a really, really interesting read, and I highly recommend it. So go to @Casino Skunk, look for the Screen Geeks banner that says Friday.
Yeah.
I attached it to that. Really, really interesting. And it made me want to see this movie because I at first I wasn't really cool with the sort of aggression that the Release the Snyder Cut hashtag kind of had behind it.
Yes.
But apparently, like, just reading it, it was a few people who were being very aggressive.
Yeah.
If you follow, for a while there, I was following the Release the Snyder Cut account on Twitter, and up front they have a mission statement saying, this is what we're about. We're not about being hostile. We're not about being this. We're using this as a platform to promote suicide prevention. Like, this is just a great story. And it made me feel better about wanting to see this movie without feeling like a dude bro who was angry and yelling at a studio on the internet. I highly recommend you read that. It's on Vanity Fair. It's a pretty lengthy article, but it'll tell you all about Zack Snyder's daughter, Autumn. Her favorite song is the Hallelujah song, which I don't like the song, but it made me understand why it was used in the trailers. It also makes you understand why it was like all the trailers were black and white, because the version that Snyder had on his laptop that he took when he left Warner Brothers was a black and white 4:3 version of the movie. So it's all this stuff is going into it, and I was afraid that all of these things were going to be a distraction. But it made me appreciate the movie more. Stevie, my wife, read that article. I sent it to her. Then she started getting really excited about the movie, and so we ended up watching it in full yesterday. She wasn't feeling well. So she was able to leave work a little bit early, so we didn't have to wait till like 5 at night and be up until midnight. But it was, I mean, she really wasn't feeling well. But I don't think anyone from her work is watching this. But it did. No, she actually wasn't feeling well. But she was like, okay, never mind. We watched early, which is great. And we watched it all in one chunk. And I loved it, man. I thought it was so good, and I kind of want to watch it more. For some reason,
no,
like I want to go pick out chapters. I love that HBO Max, at least on the Apple TV version, has the chapter markers laid out, so you can jump right to the chapters.
I agree. And it was really neat. Even they had the chapters, but it definitely had like a solid kind of 3 acts. There's like the the mother boxes, and then there's like the team, or then there's the kind of reanimating Superman, and then there's the climax and an epilogue. And I don't know, it seemed like and then the chapters in between, like it flowed in and again, it is too long, but at no point I was just like, oh, this is really dragging. Like the story felt, I don't know, like it really felt whole. It didn't feel at any point I was like, they could have cut out 30 minutes of this scene or something.
They still can, and it'll still be just as effective. But there was one moment that I didn't like in the Joss version, that when it started in this version, I was like, oh no, we're gonna have to watch the grave digging scene. that scene was amazing. I
Mhm,
love the where they're digging up Clark's body
mhm,
because Flash says to Cyborg, "We could have this done in 0.2 seconds."
mhm,
And then the coffin,
mhm,
and all four of them, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Flash, and Cyborg,
mhm,
all lift the box into the van.
mhm.
Any one of them could have lifted on their own,
Yeah.
and anyone could have used their power to speed this process along.
Mhm,
But they hold Superman in such reverence that they
mhm,
take the time
mhm.
to to deal with the weight of the situation and what they're
Yeah,
actually planning on doing.
yeah,
And it's moments like that where I'm like, that was my least favorite scene in the other version.
mhm.
That's like my favorite scene now.
Yeah. It's more
Is
compelling.
yeah, and it's done so well. Like I
Yeah,
don't like I like everything surrounding Superman in this movie is awesome because it
yeah.
takes what came before and
Mhm.
builds on it.
Yeah,
And it kind of completes his arc as,
mhm,
becoming Clark Kent.
yeah.
Did you notice at the end, Bruce told Clark congratulations as they're walking back into the house?
Baby.
Is it the baby or is it the marriage? I was thinking it was the baby.
I was thinking baby. The second I saw the pregnancy
Yeah.
test in her drawer, I was like, "Oh, it's a baby."
So good.
What's his kid's
Like,
name again? Is it like John Clark or something? What's the his kid's name? Joe Clark?
I don't know.
Anyway.
Jonathan. Probably Jonathan, I'm
Jonathan Clark. Yeah, I
assuming.
think it's John Clark. Yeah, Jonathan Clark.
Yeah.
Um,
Um um I yeah, little bits like that, like the pregnancy test, like it's so comic booky. Like
mhm.
that's the full on a panel you would see in a comic book.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And they don't dwell on it. They
Yeah.
don't dwell on it. It's
Mhm.
not a thing that
It's just there. It's just there
it's just
and
there.
it's gone. And it's a really good call because I think if I do have to give Snyder credit, he shoots like panels of a comic book page
Right.
um and that is something that I do enjoy with his like style with it. The slow-mo is over the top sometimes. Like even for me, the very beginning where like Superman is screaming for 25 minutes. I mean, that could have been tightened up. Like so absolutely. I think it could just like it's gratuitous, it's over the top, but it's his thing, you know. Um
Yeah. But it
but
sets up what's great about it is it sets up because at first I'm like, I don't know what's going on with those waves coming out of the mouth. Oh, it's Superman's mouth. But what's great is it sets up the fact that, and this was an amazing scene, is when they have the mother box and they say, well, it wasn't open when Superman was here. Why would it open now? It's
mhm.
because he's gone.
Yeah,
Like that just goes to show you like how amazing Superman is. Once
mhm.
again, showing his reverence. Even Darkseid doesn't want to come here if Superman's here. But
Well,
when they have
yeah. Yeah.
when they set the mother box down and you see the Superman hologram come out of it, dude, every like any mention of Superman, I'm getting teary eyed. Like it was
Yeah.
so great,
Mhm.
and he
Yeah.
doesn't show up till like 2 hours into the
Yeah.
movie.
He's not until the very end, really.
Yeah,
John Kent, thank you for that. Brad Brooks, yeah, the Superman screaming forever in the beginning had me worried. I agree. I was just like, ugh, but that was that, and I will the Amazonian woman singing thing. That was just like, okay, I don't need that. But other than that, there wasn't anything else that, and I'm sure you could absolutely cut things in there, but nothing else
no,
was like, I didn't need that.
right,
Anything else I enjoyed, like even the extended Aquaman stuff, I enjoyed. 'Cause,
right.
again, there's so many things we saw in the trailer that we are kind of pumped about that we didn't see in the movie that were here now, um I really enjoyed that. Again, taking the time with Wonder Woman and going to Athens and exploring the stuff and really seeing how she got it. And then they spent time with the flashback scene, far more time in the flashback scene. And
Mhm.
you actually had the battle against, because I don't think the dark side was in the movie at all in the Whedon cut,
No,
right? And
no,
so that scene was just so much more compelling. You had
yeah.
the battle, and you're a Green Lantern fan. I don't know who was that Green Lantern that was in that movie.
That's Yellen Gur.
Yellen
Is
Gur.
Yellen Yalangur.
Okay.
Now, I sent you a picture. I don't know if you want to show it,
I
but
did- I but let's save. We'll do this one thing, and then we'll talk about your Green Lanterns because this does tie in.
right,
But again, like that scene was so much cooler, and then you had Ares like chop into Darkseid and
right.
Zeus, and Like that was awesome. That was like a Lord of the Rings kind of flashback sequence.
And what's great is you really showcase all of those characters.
Yeah.
Ares and Zeus and
Yeah.
the Amazons and the Atlanteans and the soldier from space. All of these people. It took all of these armies to be able to not completely defeat Darkseid, but to get rid of him.
Yeah.
And for the fact that Darkseid is afraid to come just for Superman, that tells you a whole lot.
Absolutely.
And it's awesome.
All right, Green Lanterns.
Go. Right. Yellinger, who we saw in the Joss Whedon cut, gets dispatched by Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf was in this scene, not Darkseid. Yeah. So this scene already takes on a whole different story. He gets jacked up. he almost gets him. And this is what he looks like in the comics. So if you look at the version of him in the movie, I try to get you some screenshots of that, but I wasn't able to. He is actually from the comics. He's from Sector 2814, which is Earth. He's a predecessor that lived around that time. So he's comic accurate. Yeah. He looks goofy here, but in the movie, he still has like those sort of lace-up boots, the shorts, and the cape. He doesn't have the little hat, but his ring's even on the left hand, which Green Lanterns usually have it on the right hand. So they really like made this dude work. He gets a little bit more screen time than he did in the Whedon version. Yep. And what I love is, for those of you that aren't familiar with Green Lantern lore, when a Green Lantern gets killed, their ring flies off and finds a replacement. So his little added scene was really cool. Yep. Then we have Mr. Kilawock. Kilawock is seen in the first Nightmare flashback when they're about to activate the mother box to bring back Superman. Yep. And I didn't even notice it the first time. I was so focused on that.
I was just like, whoa.
Yeah. And then he's laying there in the crumbled Justice League. If you look, he's laying on the chandelier from the Hall of Justice that we see at the end of the movie. Yep. I gotta tell you one thing about this design though that I love. I like the design in the Green Lantern movie, but this is like more comic accurate. So you've seen me hold this dude up before. Yep. This Green Lantern statue from Kudabakia. Yep. What's cool about it is the green parts are shiny, like a pearl gloss, and then the black parts, sorry about that,
like a matte,
are matte. Yep. And they did that here.
Yeah,
they did that here with this suit, which I think is amazing. Also, if you look real close behind the rubble, he has white gloves. And the Green Lanterns always have white gloves in the comics. In the movie, they did green. But I love that this is a comic book accurate version. This looks like more like a 70s Kilawock. He's even got the mask, looks way better than the Green Lantern Ryan Reynolds mask. I love this design. I know this is an alternate reality / dream / whatever. I hate to see Kilawock dead, but it's really, really nice to see Kilawock. Yep. He's a huge member of the Green Lantern Corps. He trains all the brand new Green Lantern members. Why he's on Earth? Guess just to help out. Who knows?
Well, so my other thing here is another character was added to this movie that was not in the Whedon version was Martian Manhunter, which was cool. Right. I've always been a big Martian Manhunter fan since the Superpowers figure. I've had that figure forever. One of my favorite characters.
Right.
But apparently that scene was reshot for this release. Originally, it was supposed to be 2 Green Lanterns were going to show up in that scene.
Right. Right. And from what I heard, it was supposed to be Kilawock and John Stewart. But Warner Brothers said, no, we're not going to let you do Green Lantern. Which is driving me nuts because for the last 10 years, no one's doing anything with Green Lantern.
I know. And when I read that today, I was just like, oh, poor Ralph.
And we already had this sort of reveal of Martian Manhunter earlier in the movie. So I'm like, why are we doing a second reveal of Martian Manhunter? Yep. So yeah, it turns out it was supposed to be Green Lantern, who is a founding member of the Justice League and the Justice Society. Like Green Lantern is like a huge deal.
Yep. Yep.
It's really, really frustrating. But they said the reason why is they don't want Zack Snyder to interfere with their version of Green Lantern that they're announcing in the future. So we'll see, dude. I know there's supposedly this HBO Max thing shooting in like a couple weeks, but I haven't seen a single bit of casting.
Yeah.
I haven't heard any news on it.
Yeah.
So who knows? I
feel it because it is frustrating because you're right. Green Lantern is there for JSA, and that's my favorite version of Green Lantern.
Alan Scott
Green Lantern. I freaking love his design. It's so freaking cool. I've always loved that look. Again, it was like even when I was a kid, I was just like, that's my Green Lantern. Like, that's just the guy looks freaking awesome. And then you have the Justice League issue 1. Hal Jordan's there,
right?
And
fighting Starro.
Yeah, fighting Starro. And you have even in the DC logo thing to start the movie, you have Hal Jordan there.
Right.
It's just again, just as much as this movie made all of WB's actions in the Whedon version just seem really weird and not make any sense.
Right.
That too, just like not the complete omission of Hal is just really weird at this point. There's no reason for it.
It's like having the Fantastic Four without Johnny Storm.
Yeah.
Like he's a member of the team.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that, and it's like, listen, like, I understand if you want to do your own Green Lantern coming up, fine. Guess what? You have another Batman.
Yeah.
In this scene with Batman, you have a scene with one Batman. Meanwhile, a dude across the way is making another Batman with a different guy. Yeah. Let it happen.
Exactly. What are you protecting?
Nothing.
I know.
So now we have 2 introductory scenes for Martian Manhunter, which feels really weird. It bugs me. I mean, I'm a huge Green Lantern fan. And I mean, the only thing I could think of, this is the only thing I could think of.
Okay.
Years ago, Jeff Johns, who was the creative director behind Justice League or whatever, retweeted Joe Manganiello. And it says, the tweet was something like doing work, but it was a picture of him with Armie Hammer.
Oh,
I have a feeling Armie Hammer was cast as Hal Jordan. And I have a feeling they're like, whoops. And so maybe that could be it. It's like Jeff Johns is not going to retweet something like this was before. This was like when there was rumblings that he was going to be Deathstroke. Joe Manganiello.
Yep.
Why would Jeff Johns retweet that?
No, I agree. And it would make sense too why they're so like hush hush now about it or not even doing anything with it, because if they were banking on Armie Hammer as the new Hal Jordan, and again, Armie Hammer has the look of a Hal Jordan, but he's also a psychopath. So they can't
right
down that road now. Then I guess that kind of makes sense. But
and the Mira stuff too. Like, didn't they just say she wasn't going to be in Aquaman 2?
Yeah, I don't know. I was asking Colleen that too. I thought she wasn't going to be in it, but I don't know. I really don't.
Then they have her in this new footage.
Yeah.
So I don't. Whatever. It's fine. Guys, Green Lantern. It's a no-brainer. It's superheroes meets Star Wars. It's Guardians of the Galaxy with superheroes.
Yeah, I agree. It is silly at this point, but that theory kind of adds some. That makes sense. That would make sense on why they kind of just being really mum's the word about it. Jeremy is art. I loved Wonder Woman's theme. It's Sona Diamond by Basket has a signature element that John Williams adds to his character scores. When you hear the opening notes of Harry Potter, you think Harry. That's I do really dig the score. But are you done with the green? Because I do want to talk about the new score by Junkie XL, right?
Yeah, Junkie XL, Tom Hokenborg.
I really
liked it. I like the Hans Zimmer theme, the one that everyone's thinking of, the one that's like the electric violin sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That one.
That was guitar, but maybe it's electric violin.
No, it's some lady with an electric
Really?
violin.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
But okay. His Junkie XL's Wonder Woman theme, I don't like
Weird.
that moaning woman sound. I'm not a big fan of that, but I feel like he did it to honor her Israeli roots, Gal Gadot. So I'm like, okay, I'm fine with it. It just kind of it stood out too much for me. Mm-hmm. It was too noticeable, which is not good for scores. The rest of the score I thought was great. Anytime he dropped in that Hans Zimmer Superman theme, I got super excited.
Nice.
And then he had a new Batman theme.
Right about it because it wasn't Hans Zimmer doing it or anything, right?
Oh. So look at the end credits.
Mm-hmm.
So they pulled music from the previous movies anytime they did the Superman theme.
Sure.
From Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. Mm-hmm. And so those are listed in the credits as songs alongside with Hallelujah and stuff. And every single one of them says Hans Zimmer, somebody else, somebody else, somebody else. So they totally gave credit to everybody who co-wrote that music.
That's awesome.
So that's good.
Yeah.
But I thought it was great. I mean, I can't imagine scoring a 4-hour movie. I'm sure he didn't have the time or the budget that he would normally have.
Yeah.
I guess he had some stuff from before. Danny Elfman came in and did Joss Whedon's version, and then Junkie XL had to dust some stuff off and then complete some other stuff. Score's fine. Didn't distract me except for his Wonder Woman theme.
Agreed. That would be the one off. But a lot of the other stuff, the Justice League theme, I thought was really good. Yeah. Overall, I did enjoy the score, even though I mean, I if there's one from the Whedon, Danny Elfman's, but it was very Batman heavy. But it's just such an iconic score that of course,
right?
That's some greatest.
And Elfman used Superman's theme. I recommend grabbing that Danny Elfman score. By the way.
Of course.
It's like he had a great Justice League theme too.
Yeah.
But I grabbed that on record before it became obsolete. But I think this version I'm gonna get I'll just get on Apple Music. I'll just download and listen to it some more.
Jeremy Azar says, I hope they adapt the Green Lantern Earth 1 story.
It deviates a lot from the more well-known Green Lantern mythology. I like it a lot though. It's really good, but it's maybe a little bit too grounded in reality. I would like to see a Jeff Johns Secret Origins, Green Lantern Secret Origins.
Yeah.
That's a great version because it introduces Hal's relationship with Sinestro and then training to become a Green Lantern, and it gives you all the information you need to know, but also introduces Atrocitus, who's the leader of the Red Lanterns, and it kind of opens up that whole spectrum.
Yeah.
But the Earth 1 story is fantastic, but it is way different than what you would think of as Green Lantern.
Jay Grivis, just recast Ryan Reynolds and be done with it. Well, again, and Colleen points out, Army can be in the Joss cut of the next one.
Oof. But I mean, even if Ryan Reynolds showed up in this one, it would give you kind of a pinpoint on where we are. Like that he lives in this universe.
Yeah.
But I mean, so Colleen brought it up. Ryan Reynolds has been crapping on Green Lantern for 10 years.
Yes.
He's in both Deadpool movies. It's all over his social media. He hadn't seen the movie before. He'd never seen the movie.
Yeah.
And he watched it for the first time this week, was live tweeting it to promote his gin. Fine. He had nothing but nice things to say. And then at the end said it wasn't that bad. It just wasn't what we're going for. And I'm like, dude, listen. You're probably the single reason why Warner Brothers keeps avoiding Green Lantern. Right now, as we speak, there's no Green Lantern comics.
Yeah.
Grant Morrison's run ended like 2 weeks ago or last week, and then the next one doesn't start up, I think, for like a month or two.
Yeah.
And the guy that got to do it hates Hal Jordan, the character. Perfect. Thanks, DC and Warner's.
Yay.
Like, I love these characters. They're so good. Give us something.
Yeah. Yep.
Megan.
Anywho, all right. Final thoughts of Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League. Go ahead. What's your final thoughts, Ralph?
It's too long,
okay,
but it's not. But there isn't any moments that I really didn't enjoy.
Yeah.
Anything that I say that they could cut is just like tiny little nitpicky things that, I mean, really that singing by the ladies by the Atlantean Sea or whatever, like it was probably like 45 seconds.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, like if you're concerned about the 4-hour time, it's divided up into parts.
It is.
Treat it like a comic book, read one a day.
Yeah.
Or if you're like me, read the whole trade in one sitting. Yeah. Loved it, dude. I love these characters. I love these actors portraying these characters. Even though it's a super dark take on things. My one main comparison about DC and Marvel is yeah, this is dark and dour and, you know, whatever, but it's nice that it's separated itself from Marvel. Like, you know, you have a flavor. If you want something like an Ant-Man, you have that. If you want something a little, you know, more adult, you have DC. They're all good.
Yeah.
They're all good. People have their preferences in comics and in movies. Yeah. And man, I wish DC had the success and the run that Marvel has. But I still like these movies.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to a sequel to this. I really want it to happen because I thought this movie was great.
Jeremy Art is already getting the hashtags going. Hashtag release the Snyderverse.
Yeah, is that the hashtag now?
I would.
Restore. It's restore the Snyderverse.
Restore the Snyderverse. Riley Bob, bring on the Snyderverse. You know, and honestly, my final thoughts here are: I was not a fan of Man of Steel nor Batman v Superman. You have said to rewatch the extended version. I feel like I need to now because I did enjoy Justice League a lot more than anything that I've seen of Snyder so far. I liked Watchmen. I did, and I think the extended Watchmen was the better version as well. So maybe just for like Snyder, he doesn't know how to make a quick movie. Maybe he wants to take the time to really kind of live in that space, which is fine.
The time that he put back into the ultimate cut of Batman v Superman also makes it a completely different movie. You feel more sympathetic towards Clark. I feel like, man, dude, like it works. It works. If I'm getting glassy-eyed just seeing Lois go to the thing in this version, that means Zack Snyder's doing something right because I didn't feel the same way in the Joss Whedon version. Yeah. So if you have the time, watch Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition. I think it's 3.5 hours. No, I think it's 3 hours. Yeah. So it's another 3 hours in this universe, but
well, if you think about it, like again, I enjoyed my 4 hours in it. It was too long, but again, because I started at 8:30 at night and I was tired by the end. But even still, like at no point I was like, I'd rather go to sleep than finish this. I was like, no, I'm actually enjoying it. I want to keep watching. Riley Bob, I think, brings out a good point here. Also, bring back the Leto Joker movie. It might be I might be on an island by myself, but I think Leto Joker had a good performance in him. He showed it here. I agree. It was kind of weird. It was kind of out of place. And I get why it was there because I really enjoyed that scene between the two of them. It kind of called back to the death of Robin, which it seems like it was going to be Dick Grayson and not Jason Todd. And just that interplay between the two of them was a really good Joker Batman scene. I know some people are kind of like, what was the whole reach around comment? Again, it's a Joker or whatever. I was just like, just Joker being Joker. But I really, I don't know. I thought it was a really, again, aside from the fact that it was a nightmare, it's clearly whatever future that the Flash warned him about in Batman v Superman, because he was wearing the same suit in
Yeah.
the dream sequence that he kind of came back into. It was Batman v Superman, right, where the future Flash was warning him or whatever.
Mhm.
But I thought it was really cool. And yeah, again, where it's just like I like any Joker. Like, it's a compelling character. Each actor has their own take on it, and each one is different. And it was nice, I think, too. Like, you're talking about a lot of redemptions here. It was nice for Leto to kind of really kind of inhabit maybe a different space than just not Justice League, Suicide Squad gave him.
Agreed.
But overall, I really enjoyed it. That's what the thumbnail said. I said it's really good. I thought it was really good, and that's coming from somebody that has not enjoyed the Snyder movies. I'm not a Snyder fanboy. I'm not a Snyder bro.
Give Man of Steel a second shot and check out that.
Maybe and I think the thing that bothered me about that was just it seemed really dour for a Superman movie. I'm a big, Christopher Reeves Superman fan. That's how I was introduced to the character, was those films. So that just might be my own just nostalgic brain there. But I maybe I do need to take another second pass at it, because I do really enjoy Henry Cavill as the character. And a lot of the scenes seemed very similar to the Whedon cut. So why is the lip look so much better in this movie than in the Whedon cut? Like, that didn't make sense to me.
They didn't
do the weird CGI for no reason.
So what happened is anytime Joss Whedon shot extra stuff,
I know, because
they had to digitally release the mustache. So all his stuff was shot before he did Mission Impossible 5.
I know, but that's what didn't make sense, because a lot of the Superman scenes seem very similar to the ones in this movie, but he didn't have the weird mustache thing. That's why I was like, what scene? There was a few. There was different scenes, sure, but I don't know. It just seemed
when
like
when they're pulling the cubes apart, the mother boxes.
Yeah,
he's wearing the black suit in this.
Yeah.
So why did they just CG the suit?
Yeah.
To red and blue. I don't know, dude. I have no idea. But right after that, Cyborg and Superman fall and said, I can't feel my legs or whatever. And he says like something to the effect, I've had a crazy day. Like, so maybe it was just part of those added jokes. They're like, we got him in the suit, just have him redo the part where he's splitting the boxes in half. I don't know. And then the worst is that opening shot of the Joss Whedon version with the cell phone with the kids.
Yeah.
I like that scene, but you're so distracted by his mouth.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like, it's just shit that doesn't look right at all. And I will say, if there's one thing I did enjoy about the Whedon, I did like the Superman changes, but in this one, I didn't think he was that dark. I thought he was actually kind of found himself again.
Okay. You got to watch the ultimate version or the ultimate edition of Batman v Superman. Mm-hmm. There's so much of stuff of Clark that's cut out of the movie.
Yeah.
It makes me mad because in Batman v Superman, it's cut so much where it feels like Superman's just angry.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm just going to be mad.
Mm-hmm.
He's new. They cut out whole sequences where Perry sends him to Gotham to cover the big game where Victor is playing football, that Gotham Knights game that we see in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of covering it, he goes on the trail looking for Batman.
Yeah.
And he's talking to people in the neighborhood. There's more stuff with his mom. There's more stuff with Lois that kind of tell him like where he's at headspace wise after his first confrontation with Zod in Man of Steel. Like, dude, the ultimate cut, it's 3 hours. It's so much better than the original cut. I highly recommend watch Man of Steel. You might have a different perspective now seeing all these.
I need to.
I love those movies. So yeah, and then in Justice League, the scene where we hear Jor-El and Jonathan Kent giving both of their ideals, like the voiceover, and them sort of kind of meshing up. They're kind of like both sides, but they both kind of come to the same conclusion. That scene was awesome.
It was. I thought it was great.
Yeah,
I love that. I love that. I agree.
Anyway, I think this movie's great.
I
loved it.
I loved it too. I really.
So,
I assume if you're watching this, you have seen it as well. And again, there's only been a couple people. Caesar, one of them. I'm kind of bummed Fetz wasn't here because it seemed like he left a comment earlier today in the chat, kind of throwing some shade this movie's way because he was big on Marvel too. So, so I know it hasn't had unanimous, but nothing does in this world of internet geekery. But overall, I think just looking at the sentiment and the feeling of a lot of people that they have enjoyed this version of the movie. And I will say unequivocally, I think it was a much better film. Not without its flaws, sure, but I really enjoyed the hell of it. It's 4 hours. I kind of want to watch it again too. Like I want to. I really enjoyed the time. So that is how I feel. That's
Cyborg. We need a Cyborg movie.
I agree. That's the one thing.
Cyborg movie.
Like justice for Ray Fisher, man, because again, that's just nothing. It just doesn't make sense. Like you look at everything they had here, such a compelling story, and they took it all out of the movie.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense other than the beefs were real. And I have to side with his story here. Not that I didn't believe him before, but just like how do you not like kind of see his side in this whole thing? Because they totally took out his entire story. And it wasn't like it was a bad story. It was great.
It was.
So anyway, whoever those executives were, you dummies. You're probably dummies now, but you were dummies then. And but at least
take a hike.
At the very least, it happened. And for all those that had wanted to make this thing happen, it's one of those rare instances where the internet calls those geek calls for like, you need to do it this way. It actually was better. It actually was better. And I gotta just give credit where credit's due. Zack Snyder, you put together one hell of a film, and all the actors and everybody involved. I did really enjoy it. But anywho, that is it for this episode of Screen Geeks with Ralph and Jay. We are usually Thursday nights at 9:00, but again, there was no chance in hell we were going to be able to watch this in time. Okay, so
right
today, Winter Soldier and the Falcon. I have not seen it yet. I do intend to watch it. We'll probably talk about it next time on Screen Geeks. I assume we'll be back normal Thursday at 9:00 next week with more. I want to talk about the last episode of Ducktales. We just watched it today. It is amazing. A great wrap to the series. It's a 66-minute finale for a cartoon that's usually like 20 minutes. It's amazing. I want to get Bobby Moynihan on the show because he plays Louie on the show. I'd love to hear his thoughts. But a lot to come to talk about here on the show. And until then, we'll see you later. Ralph, anything that you want to tell people before we head out of here?
No. Watch Ultimate Edition.
There you go. There's a few other comments in here as well. Jay, please try MOS and BVS Ultimate Edition. It's different Superman, but still heartfelt. Also, Man of Steel makes me want IHOP. It's a good thing. But anywho, all right. Well, that'll do it for this time. We'll see you all next time. Hasta luego and goodbye.